showered.
Wow, that's great.
So, well, I think you can relate to this. Do you ever get to that point where you hate your hair and you're like, well, I need to cut 5 inches off?
I mean, every few weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm there now.
Hence my hair changing each time you see me.
Okay, hold on. Look at how long my hair is.
Yeah.
It's so long.
Yeah.
It's crazy long, and I'm ready to be done. I want to go to I'm hovering my hands just over my shoulder.
Okay.
Which I'm willing to do that cut here at home. Here's the thing. The majority of my blonde will get cut off, and I am not prepared.
Sure.
Because the last time I got my hair colored was in May.
Okay.
So that was 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And even when I got that hair color done, I wasn't thrilled with it because it wasn't very dramatic blonde. So now I feel even... Anyways, that's where I'm at.
The saga, I can relate to that, and I can respect that, because the saga of hair is so real. The last, just before our trip that we took, the Feast of Tabernacles, just before I went to Ireland and Scotland, I was like, I need Europe hair, which in Amy land means blonde and short. It just feels right. It feels edgy. My version of edgy, Amy's version, if you will, instead of Taylor's version. And I tried to do it myself. As you know, I panicked.
As we all remember.
Yeah. And ended up finding this lady that is the mother of the person at the beauty supply store that I went to, thinking, oh, this is a different story.
Yeah, I'm thinking, oh, this is new.
Oh, sure. Okay, so I was like, basically, where's a Sally's? I'm just doing it myself, because I had done the first bit, as we all listeners have heard. Well, I still didn't like it. I wanted it on my whole head. And I was getting desperate because I'm looking everywhere and no one has any openings and I don't know anyone, blah, blah, blah. So then I think I typed in Sally's, but I voice did it through my car. It's actually like some salon beauty supply, blah, blah. So I go there, I walk in, I'm like, hey, here's what I want. Here's a picture. And they were like, are you a licensed professional? And I said, and I laughed. I said, no. And they said, oh, we only sell to professional.
Sure.
Like that was that kind of store. I was like, oh, I'm sorry, gang. And then I was like, then I told them my whole story. And I'm like, but I leave for Ireland in a week and I need to find someone. She's like, my mom is a person that does hair. She gives me the number. I go. She does blonde all over my head. The cut is, I would say, uneven. But at this point, we had a day or two before I was leaving. So
the color looked great.
Yeah, the color looked really good. And the cut is fine, but whatever. And so I almost had our seamstress friend, Sydney, just start cutting my hair. But it was so close. And it's a short bob that if you started just doing things at home.
Yeah, it could cascade very quickly. It could
really, and we only had days to work with. So I just curled my hair as under as I could so that no one could see the unevenness.
Sure. Or you just call it layers. Chunky, fun, playful layers.
Absolutely.
That's all,
Chunky, fun, playful layers is not a bad podcast name. Which, as you know, we need to start thinking about.
Yeah, why would you bring that up, Amy? That's so weird of you to say that.
Before I tell you that, welcome to I'm Not Mad About It. I'm Amy.
I'm Amanda.
And we're not.
Slightly mad about it.
We actually are a little mad about it, and I'll tell you why. We had a single teacher who works too hard, and her best friend's got 4 kids in the yard. Yeah, the mama loves her curds away, and her best friend just loves Tanqueray. Oh, yeah, I'm not mad about it. And I'm not mad about it. Listeners.
Buckle up, listeners. Just buckle up, tuck in, snuggle up.
Yeah. I almost said grab a good book, but that would be confusing. Don't read while you're listening. That's disrespectful.
Yeah, that's too much. That's too much conversation going on.
It's too much. Listeners, just expect perhaps a bit of change coming in the new calendar year. Nothing from us, we are committed to this podcast because we want to, and really for no other reason. But we've had a bit of a hiccup. Another podcast with a similar sounding name to ours reached out to us, aggressively and asked us. Told us it's difficult. The wording is
too generous. Yeah,
ask is a generous term. We were told, to change our name,
like toddlers from two mothers. Which, I'm a mom, so I can say that like it's a derogatory term.
Yeah, we were told that we needed to change our podcast name, and we don't need to get into all the ins and outs. But I would describe the back and forth exchange as deeply unpleasant. No?
Yeah. Sure, okay. Agree. Yes. And Amy was at the helm of this ship, unfortunately, as our social media manager.
That's right. As the manager and really producer and editor of this podcast. Somehow We Manage is not a bad title. I might write it down. I'm sure that's taken. They're all taken.
And they're like, wait, is this an Office rewatch? No, not necessarily.
Nope.
I wonder if like
somehow
Beautiful Land Mermaid or like some Leslie Knope, Ann Perkins compliment phraseology.
I don't hate that.
If they're all taken,
I don't hate that. Yeah. I think I don't hate that is also good, but I don't want the word hate in it. Anyway, listeners, we had a very, as I said, deeply unpleasant exchange with a neighboring podcast. And after much prayer and supplication and me trying to rise above the dark feelings and thoughts that I had, we will be rebranding to something after the calendar year has concluded. So we will finish our season 1 as under the name and identity of I'm Not Mad About It, and then we will change to. We don't know. What do y'all think? We'd love your feedback.
Tell us, please.
Someone write in. If you've ever tried to come up with a podcast name, it's very difficult because they're all taken. And that's why when we got ours because it wasn't taken. But ours.
It was so exciting.
It was great. It was really cool to see that no one had taken it. And then we were told later that we took it, but I don't think that's true. But anyway, we are
I don't know. When the words are different, it sounds like that's not the same name. But, neither here nor there. Hashtag rebranding. Hashtag we're a brand. Hashtag this is more important to us.
Yeah.
That was the vibe of the messages.
Maybe. Yeah. We just have to think about our brand. That could be a good title. We just have to think about our brand. Anyway, listeners, we're still pretty hot about it, as you can hear. My dear friend Amanda, co-host, reached out and said, Amy, we still good to record on Monday? Because, spoiler alert, we record on Mondays and we release on Thursdays. And I said, yeah. And she's like, okay, I was just like checking the temperature because perhaps I was seeming pretty hot, pretty mad about it, which is interesting because we're not mad about it.
Sure, but in taking that identity from us, because that is what's happening.
Yes,
even though we're taking it on our own terms and we're taking the higher road and not putting up a fight. We did become a little mildly mad about it. Some might say. Yeah,
and so now our name "I'm Not Mad About It" feels disingenuous because
it does.
We are a little mad about it, mildly mad about it, if you will. So we are mildly mad, but also annoyed, mildly annoyed. But we ended on better terms than we began.
We did.
I feel a lot more like, take a breath and breathe. It feels a little bit like Bobby Newport when he's like, just drop out. I want to win. And we're like, just give it to me. And then he's like, oh, you're being so mean. And it's like,
why would you just give it to me?
But
you're so right.
We're not. What? Like that? The parallel is kind of similar.
It's pretty spot on. Yeah.
So just be looking out for that, listeners.
Any suggestions, we'll happily take them.
Yeah. Should we share some? I know.
Sure.
An option we have. This I don't like where the source was AI generated, which I hate. But I was like,
as we've learned, he's taught us a few things.
Sure. Hey, listen. That's funny for me to say, hey, listen, and then give no information to our listeners. Anyway, ChatGPT has been like kind of my best friend for a while. But anyway, one option was...
We have a podcast.
I'm starting a podcast with AI.
Right, yeah. Ooh,
that'd be awful.
When Amy breaks up with Amanda.
Can you imagine? But I bet someone's doing that now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. Icky, great episode idea.
Oh, that makes me so sad.
Well, okay. Listen to my idea. It's better than AI.
Okay. Because it's an idea from a person.
Yeah.
Great.
Our episode, it's called Breakups. Ooh. Where we detail our breakups, and then you break up with me at the end of the episode to start a podcast with AI. You're like, I told you it was about breakups. I don't know how more plainly I could have put it.
Man, and the whole time I'm like, it's not me. No, it's not you. It's me. Yeah, it's not me. It's
no,
you.
It is you. It is you. Yeah.
I tell my students that sometimes. Today, I would describe as not good. Kids were just so bad. But then in the hallway, it was just funny. Or at buses, one class walked by, and a sweet first or second grader said, "Bye, Miss Duncan. Sorry we were so bad." I said, "That's fine." Like, so they knew it. And all the other teachers, like so many today, looked at me just with like big bugged out eyes and were like, "Today's a disaster, right?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah." So that's how I felt a little bit off kiltered anyway. But I do feel I feel okay about the rebrand in the sense that it's happening, and I feel more at ease than I did when conversations were a bit more contentious. So I do feel a bit more like at ease just because I was the one physically fielding those or whatever. But an option for a new name based on AI, which again, I roll, and we should absolutely do a breakups episode just in general, is play dates and first dates. So that's an option because, like, you know, you're a mother and I am a single one. But the only issue with that is we haven't had a dating episode yet. So it doesn't feel like we talk about dating all that often. Like, I think we will perhaps as it goes on.
Yeah. I don't love that it's a repeat, like both words have date in it.
Yeah, because it's like, it's not really rhyming. They're just the same word.
No, you're just saying, yeah.
Okay, great. So that's a no. And then another one, vows versus vibes, I thought was kind of funny, but...
I kind of like that, but you know, sure. Again, really puts you in a corner.
I know. It's like it sentences me to be single forever as well.
Yeah.
You know, so then it's like, oh, well, this is the single friend.
Which again, this is, not a podcast of me always talking about being married. Like, it's
no, I know.
Less about our life statuses and more about you and I as human friends.
Right.
And my brain.
Yeah, same. And like making everything about our childhoods. I feel like.
That's what I'm really here for.
Yeah, of like, well, why do we think that? That's interesting.
Yes, we've said it a couple times.
Yeah, like, because we just go, even I don't think there's a podcast literally called Female Friendship, but like, that one I think is free, but it's also almost too on the nose. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Anyway, we'll figure it out, listeners, and we have time. So this will be episode 15. Yeah, I guess 15 of our episodes, and then of season 1, and then we're going to 20 episodes. So that'll be the conclusion of season 1 that should end around December 18th. So just so listeners can mark their calendars. Legally,
it's in writing. There was no legal.
No,
the legal team was.
It can only legally be binding because we
just said it.
Okay, that's fine. Anyway, so listeners, be ready for that. We thought in this episode we would just talk and kind of see where it goes. We're thinking updates. We're thinking some travel-y kind of stuff, travel adjacent episode, because we just traveled for the Feast of Tabernacles. We can touch on that if we have time or feel so compelled. But this is a little bit more of an updated episode and kind of a rebrand announcement.
Now we've just got to the main point of the episode.
because Amanda and I, listeners, I mean, we've talked a bit,
sure,
but not really.
No, not
we
in
haven't
depth.
seen each other in a long time, and we both went to different feast sites. Where, pray tell, did you go? Yeah, we never go to the same feast site, to be fair.
Yeah, not usually. Yeah, we were in Myrtle Beach.
I love that.
It was marvelous. Let me just say, only 2.5 hours from my house was... So husband Sean and I, even before we were dating, even like before him, I grew up going to the local feast site because, again, my childhood, my mother was chronically ill. So like literally whatever was closest, we feasted in Cincinnati, Ohio a couple times.
Sure.
Like, so we were not going to PCB. We were not going to Hawaii. We were going to Gatlinburg, Pennsylvania, Louisville, Kentucky, Lexington, Kentucky. Yes. Cincinnati. So then as soon as I hit like mid, basically 18, I, wanted to go to all these cool places. So anyways, I have not gone to the local site. In 15 plus years. So enter in husband Sean. Again, we choose the hard site no matter what. We're like, yes, let's travel internationally with our baby. Yes, let's travel internationally with our 3 kids. Let's drive 15 hours to Branson, Missouri.
Sure.
Let's fly, so finally, here we are. We have 4 children and we go to the local site. It was everything. It was so good. Like literally the weight that was not sitting on my shoulders was so palpable where I was like, do you guys feel like, is everyone in on this? And then not only was it the local site, then we get there and my kids are thrilled because we're staying on the beach in this cute little like it just was like all the joy of going somewhere fun. Yeah. With like none of the work. Like we left casually at 11 a.m.
No.
And then we went to Costco first. Then we went to Trader Joe's. And then we went to our condo. And it just was like so...
and it's too super rich. So I do think if it's okay, I want to interject really quickly. Because I want to continue to hear about that. But if you're unfamiliar with what in the world we're talking about, I just want to throw out... Feast of Tabernacles is a 7-day festival that is in Leviticus 23, if you want to check it out. Among other places, Christ kept the Feast of Tabernacles as well. But it is something, so if we just, for the rest of the episode, just so we're super clear to any listeners that might not have our same background, when we refer to the feast, we're going to be talking about that week-long festival. Also, there's an 8th day or last great day, depending on, your vibe of what you want to call it. But in scripture, it's just called the 8th day. So that is, after the 7 days that we are celebrating. It pictures the kingdom of God. So basically what Christ was going on about in the wonderful, best way possible. That is what we are keeping. That's what the gospel's about. Anyway, does that sound bad going on and on about? I meant it positively, but boy, oh boy.
There's like 4 books.
It's going on and on. There's 4 books nonstop in the Gospels about the gospel, which is the good news, which is the kingdom of God, which is what that pictures. So if we talk about that, that's what we're talking about. Additionally, I just wanted to throw this out there because I've had many questions recently at my place of work. Should any of them listen? How can we afford such a trip? Many have asked, so I thought that might be worth mentioning.
Sure.
So we both believe in tithing. We believe that's biblically sound. So our first tithe of 10% of our increase or our gain would go to like the church, and that helps with like, church, our facilities and things to hold Sabbath services and all that good stuff. And then there's also a second tithe. So that particular tithe is for you to spend during the Feast of Tabernacles. So you're basically spending 10% of all of your income in a week. So
yes, again,
that's how I was able to go. Yes, biblically sound. It's actually a commanded thing that we feel compelled to do. And so I felt like, just in case we have listeners that were like, in church speak, that are like, wait, what are you talking about? Feast site. So growing up, we would be like assigned, quote unquote, a feast site, but like, you didn't go there. I don't know. A lot of us didn't go there.
By regional areas, they block people off to say like, X will go this way, X will go that way, but then you could quote unquote transfer and go wherever you wanted.
Right, which nowadays it feels like transferring is what most people do, but they still, especially for our older brethren and stuff, like they want to ensure that everyone has a set like regional place to go to make it easier. Again, especially for larger families or things that might need to have something really close by or whatever. And also like obviously like older members and stuff as well, like that they would have somewhere like pretty close by that they wouldn't even have to take a plane ride, hopefully, to be able to access a feast site. So anyway, I just thought that might be helpful for a few of our listeners. I don't know, maybe not.
No, it's like very helpful. Actually, this is a total side tangent, but as of recently, I've seen a lot of like, I guess once again in my microcosm of like conservative homeschool community, like the biblical feasts, like people are just asking like, oh, do you keep the biblical feasts? And I'm like, what? And like, that's like a common phrase. Like that's,
whoa.
I'm seeing it a lot in moms groups.
I mean, I like it.
I do too. I've actually had a few people message me, like strangers in one group that I'm in. They're like, oh, we've given up Halloween and we're thinking about quote unquote, like quitting Christmas and keeping the biblical feasts. And I was like, oh, no way. Like, and then they're messaging me, like asking me questions and like my experience and stuff like that. But like the biblical feasts, like just as like a phraseology, is becoming like way more mainstream than I think.
That is so interesting.
So anyways, for the the listeners who did not grow up the way Amy and I grew up, yeah, if you're more interested, you can just kind of hop on the old Google and look up the biblical feasts. There are 8 of them, 7 of them, and then, but yeah, they're all in the Bible,
7
the
plus
Old Testament.
Passover.
Sure, yes. And,
classic. That was always like, I feel like always stumped me. Like Sabbath school growing up, I'd be like, what? That was always one that got me. But yeah, but yeah, absolutely. Like look it up and just see if it resonates. Like, and just ask yourself, like, what does the Bible say? Yeah. And then go from there. What do you feel good about? Yeah.
Anyways, well, so here, since we were talking, like, we can rattle off, like, our organization had feast sites, had one in South Carolina, one in Pennsylvania, one in Florida, which was, like, a smaller satellite, one that served more of, like, the local elderly brethren. There was one in Missouri, one in Alabama, one in Utah, and then California.
I think so.
And then Hawaii, which I guess we're counting as U.S., even though it's
and
definitely
then
not
one or
continental.
2 in Canada. I don't know.
Yes, one in Quebec.
Okay. And then several international sites. So also listeners are like other like brethren and stuff that are a part of our specific organization. Like half of our brethren are overseas, so half are not in the U.S. as well. So like we have a bunch of feast sites in Latin America, for instance. We have a ton of brethren there, and then in Africa, obviously in the continent of Africa, you have several feast sites there as well, and then there are some European sites as well. So I went to Ireland for the feast, and then I was able to tour around Scotland afterwards, but that's only because my school fall break happened to fall like I was already taking off for the feast, obviously. And then when the feast ended and the last great day ended, or 8th day, again, however you want to look at it, there were still 3 days left of a fall break that all of my teachers were off. You know, our whole county was off anyway. So that's how I was able to then go and tour like something after the feast. So yeah, when you don't got 4 sweet babies, you plan differently than how you plan. I also need to confess to Amanda.
Please.
I told so many people you were in Branson.
Oh.
I just was like, yeah, she's in Branson. And then I thought, you know, Amanda is one of my favorite people in the whole world. This was this Sabbath, so 2 days ago.
Great.
And I said, someone said they went to Branson. I said, well, do you know? And then I asked them, and they looked at me like, no. And I'm like, well, you can't miss them. I mean, bright blonde hair, sweet little babies.
Blonde.
And so
just
many
a little
of them.
army.
Like,
yes.
And I was like, she would have been in the choir. I described you, I think, very well. And she was like, I didn't
come to church. So,
right.
You know,
so they were just like, she's probably just one of those that comes for the fun, you know, that don't show up for atonement. And so anyway, and then I thought, and I said, maybe she went to Myrtle. And then I was like, she is one of my best friends in the world. I can tell you, like, not her innermost secrets, but her innermost, like, feelings about life and all this stuff. But I don't know where she went for the feast. And I realized that when I got back. Isn't that that's just great, huh?
I actually do think it's great. No, I think it's good because, that's one of those things you just so ask somebody at church, where are you going for the feast? But then,
so funny.
Last year
we were confident about Sydney either. I was like, I'm thinking Utah, and I was right, but I was like, I sure don't know.
You're like, it's not Ireland, so I don't care.
Exactly. When someone else is speaking in general, I just hear like Amy. It's just I only think about
like,
myself.
There I am. Yes, I can jump in.
Yeah. Like, I'm interested in that. Exactly. It's so sad. Anyway, so your experience was very different than mine. Was a wonderful feast, but I flew
Let's talk about alone. Yeah, I want to dive into that.
Yeah, so I flew by myself from Nashville to Dublin. They have a direct flight, everyone, so feel free to jump on board. And I will say, going by yourself, I didn't mind it. I didn't feel uncomfortable really in the least, which was interesting. Although I was not changing planes alone, because it was direct. Sure. So I knew that going into that made me feel better. I had the worst, not like so terrible, but whatever, but the worst jet lag I've ever had, at the feast. I thought that was interesting, but I arrived and like that night at sundown, cause our days begin of course at sundown, like that night was opening night. So like, it was just such a quick turnaround.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. So I flew on Sunday evening and arrived Monday morning, and they're 6 hours ahead, but then I couldn't check into the hotel. So then I was just at the hotel, and they let me like store my big bags and stuff, so that was nice. But like, I've just deplaned, and I did a whole overnight situation alone, but I'm also me, and so I'm just having to hang out in the lobby of where like basically everybody is staying at this hotel at the feast site. So that means I'm just greeting every church member that comes in while also being so deeply tired and like I'm so dead, but I can't just shower and like go rest in my room and refresh because I cannot check in until 3:30. So from about 8:30 to 3:30 I just had open. I decided to go to Dublin alone.
Yeah.
But another church family happened to be Ubering over, so I just hopped in with them, went to an art gallery, the National Gallery, because the feast days had not started yet, so it wasn't like a high Sabbath or anything like that. And so you could like tour and do stuff. So I was like, I'll just go do that. And when I say I hit a wall, I didn't run into anything, thankfully.
I know.
But boy, oh boy, I just was like, I gotta get out of here now. Like, you know what I mean? Like I need to Uber back from here. It's about a half-hour drive from Dublin to Ashburn, which is where the festival location was. And I was just like, I gotta ask if they can let me in this room. Like I need, like, is it ready yet? Is it ready yet? I just felt so off. Like it was my head was just like pounding. I was just like, I need to not talk to anybody. Right. And so that still wasn't ready when I got back, but it was only like another half-hour wait or something. So and my phone was dying, and I was like, I need to just get somewhere where I can just like stay. And my family was getting in a bit later. Anyway, so that was interesting. Again, it took me a while to kind of adjust to that. But Ireland was great. First feast with my grandma in a really long time, and that was the highlight. That was honestly like sitting next to her at services was just so life-giving. And we were both in the choir together. And like both sopranos, and so just sharing that because she attends with a different like physical organization, and so week to week, like I don't see her at church, and I haven't seen and as listeners know, we lost my grandfather this summer, so this was her first feast without him, and like it was just a lot of firsts, but I am just blown away and so proud of her. Like she loses her husband of over 50 years and then gets a passport, never been out of the country, goes to a completely new place. We had Indian food, I think I might have told you, but she didn't care for it. But she tried it. Like she went and just did all the things and really leaned in. One of my favorite meals of the feast was both of my brothers were there, and their spouses and their kids, and they were each getting to do a date night. So they had 2 sets of their grandparents, like my parents, and then my little brother's wife's parents. And so they were babysitting their kids, so they got to do a date night, which meant that I was free that night for dinner. Like we weren't doing a big family thing. So I invited Grandma. I invited our friend. I don't know what we call him.
South Carolina Sean.
South Carolina Sean's mother, who was there by herself. Really awesome Southern woman who we love. She was traveling with someone. Yes.
She was the one that if anyone's ever heard me say, before my dad ever married Bertie, whom I adore, and I'm so glad. But I'm talking 3 years ago. I was like,
yes,
if my dad could just fall in love with South Carolina Sean's mother,
perfect.
It would solve all my problems.
That would have been perfect. Yeah.
He would have moved here. She's happy. I adore her. I want her to be happy.
Sure.
He's happy. I adore him. I want him to be happy. And he moves here. That was my goal. We went to Jamaica together. They did not connect. And it was like, ugh. Anyways, I adore her. I think so highly of her. So that's who you...
And again, now it's obviously in a wonderful situation. And God was orchestrating something else. But I love that you were doing a little parent trap. That's fun.
Oh, I hoped for it. And I even told South Carolina Sean's wife, who is also a best friend, Sharon. So intermixed. But I had told her of this plan, and she was like, I mean, I'm here for it, but, South Carolina Sean might lose his mind.
You and her should have dressed up in matching outfits and gone like, let's get together. Yeah.
Yeah.
See what you and I can
anyways.
Oh,
okay,
man.
So you have a dinner, Grandma.
We have a dinner, Grandma. South Carolina Grandma. Her friend. I think she's just mysterious drifter, Sharon.
And I think my understanding is that they had not met until this trip, but it literally was like, oh, I know another older single woman who's going, you guys can be friends. And that's how that
truly,
happened.
100%. And it was just more and more clear as the night went on that they were just different people. But we did get along really well too. And then my friend, we'll call her South African Sharon, who I went to Scotland with, her and her husband. Her husband was under the weather that night, so she ended up coming. And then another just entire church family. I feel really good about it. I'm not trying to be like, oh, I'm so blah, 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 whatever. No, I just feel so good about, I love getting groups together and like, hey, you would be interesting. I think you guys need to and sometimes we mismatch those situations. But in this case, it was really great. And they were all like, thank you so much for inviting us. Like, okay. And then we all had just the best time. And then the family we invited, kind of like another pseudo like Big Brother Sean person in my life. Of the 2 best friend Seans, this is one of my best friend Sean's.
Right. Yeah.
And so it's he and his wife and their 2 kids, and he ended up picking up the tab for all of us after we all got like dessert and like everything, which was so very kind and unnecessary. But then that was the way that like I feel like he was able to get out of his comfort zone a little bit, and not just because he and his wife was like, we've been just all of us together and not like really invited or necessarily like putting themselves out there with other groups. Like they've just been focused on like get the kids fed, like in just staying as a family unit. But they were like, we want to spend time with other people, but it's kind of hard when everyone has their established family in their group. And so I felt really good about that night. It was really lovely and encouraging. And South Carolina Sharon drove us there on the left side of the road. So that was fun. Like a baller, like a boss. So then she's just like, now where am I going, y'all? Blah, blah. So I just physically held up the phone for the GPS for her to see where to go.
Sure.
But yeah, it was great. Yeah. And then after that, I went to Scotland. Scotland has lots of stories and lots of things, but not at all similar to your experience of a 2-hour, we leave at whatever. I flew last Sunday. Yeah. Not yesterday, but the Sunday before that. Wild. That's crazy. I flew from Edinburgh to Dublin to Charlotte to Nashville, got home at 8 p.m. and taught this past Monday. So
yeah, a week ago.
Yeah, that was really, really crazy. So I would not describe that as like restful wise, but it also went really well. Like I can't even tell you, like so many blessings were just stacked on top of one another. Kids in general were like, "And how was your trip?" Like it was great. So it's just really funny. And like they had to draw castles while I was gone because I was going to Ireland and Scotland and I was going to see different castles. And they were like, "Well, did you get to see the castles? How was it?" Like they just couldn't wait to hear. And I was like, Sweet. It was great. And then there's an artist we studied, Jack B. Yates. And he's like a super famous Irish artist that I did not know about until this trip, if I'm going to be honest. But I looked up Irish artists before I left, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, they were like, "Did you get to see some of Jack Yates' work?" I was like, "I did. And it was lovely." So they were just more excited for me, like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, nice. Very different experience than going a couple hours away. But I got to do what I love, which is traveling and touring. And it was really awesome. So, yeah. All in all, great feast.
Well, I would be remiss if I didn't add on my feast experience. We somehow conned our very, very, very good friends from Oklahoma, whom, looking back, I'm like, oh yeah, I would have stayed for them. Like that relationship is so solid. Our kids are all the same age, but they always go to the local site. Okay. And last year when we were in Branson with them and had a baby little number 4 Henry and was like, you can't pay us to go anywhere but Myrtle. Like we're going to Myrtle. I will die on this hill. Like the 15-hour drive was awful. Yeah. Somehow we convinced them to fly out and they kept to it. And so we got housing. So, cause there's Myrtle Beach, which is very like commercial. And then the next town over is called Surfside. And it's very like residential with small, like still shops and stuff. But like the restaurants are like more to-go places and like this really small barbecue place. And then this really small deli that only does, like it's just not as commercialized as Myrtle. So we stayed in Surfside and we got condos in the same building. So there were only 6 units in the whole building, 3 on one side, 3 on the other. So we were one and they were one and we were like catty corner from one another. And it just was everything. It was so nice.
That's lovely.
And we packed our espresso maker and our coffee grinder. So they like came up and would like just literally like no warning, just knock on the door and like, we're not ready, but there's like, come on in. And they would brew their coffee and like, we could see each other from the beach and the girls would just come up. They have 3 girls and we have 4 kids my kids would go down or it was like, oh, we have an hour to kill. Yeah. Send the girls up and they'll all just play. And like, we did a matching pajama sleep. Well, it wasn't a sleepover, but it was a matching pajama and movie night.
Yes.
So they all went to the store and picked out matching pajamas and then they came up and we
know like that all.
Pillow fort. Of course. It's the MO. You can't not. Yeah. You're with your best friends.
Yeah.
So it just was so marvelous. And like, we had made it a priority going into the feast because for us, it was one of those situations where we're going to the local site. So we know a lot of local brethren. And then my dad and Bertie were there. And then Ethan's grandma and his aunt were there. So we have family on both sides. And then pretty much all of Ohio in like a general sense, which if you're tuned into church culture at all, like you just understand all of Ohio. Like you're like, okay, say no more. Like all of Ohio came to Myrtle Beach.
Great.
So we knew so many people there and my kids knew so many people there, which was so awesome. But I was stressed out about like, how are we going to balance and manage all this while also having convinced our friends who basically know no one else but us to come out and do this with us. So it was like, they are our high priority. And then they also knew one family from Ohio that turns out our girls went to camp together this last year.
Oh, yeah.
And then, so sometimes they were doing stuff with just them. And then sometimes we were doing stuff all together. And then, like, but it was so great because we prioritized, like we spent time with them every single day, but then also got to do other stuff with family. And so like, I really was stressed about it. But at the end of it, I was like, oh, I don't feel like I compromised or dropped the ball. Like I really felt like we somehow struck the perfect balance of like family. and friends. And then, yeah, like I just, without feeling stressed out. And it was so nice. And we had already talked about this on the phone, but I just was super intentional about like my mental space this feast, which really changed the game. Yeah. Of just like not carrying burdens in my brain and not feeling frustrated that things didn't go how they should, or timeline, or we're late, or we're this or that. And I got my prayer and my study in before the sunrise every morning, and then watch the sunrise. And it just was like, the day just started so much better because of that. Yeah. So we had not just a physically good feast, but I also had like a very good, like strong spiritual and like mental feast. And somehow we are still healthy. So we just like dodged all together, which is just like remarkable. So nice. Because literally this time last year, I had COVID. I'm reading through my prayer journal, and literally yesterday's was like, and I've accepted I have COVID. I feel terrible.
Yeah. Like, I mean, no, that's such a real thing. Because normally by last great day, you just hear like, like coughing.
Yeah, and you just surrender. And you're like,
you're like,
it's going to happen.
And I kept waiting for it to hit me as well. I was like, well, it's going to happen. That's kind of
a miracle how tired and...
I know. Like, and then strong. Go. And especially in Scotland was wild. But yeah, cold, like that kind of stuff never hit me either, which is wild.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
I'm so glad though. That's so cool that it was such a like, it always should be a spiritual high. You know, they talk about, or, you know, I am thinking of, there's this really old lady. She's so lovely. So like a old. Pillar in the church. I didn't mean it like that, but she is very old. I didn't mean that way, but she is like a pillar in the church, just awesome. But I remember her years and years ago. She married her husband when she was like 15, kind of a thing. He's since passed, and I think she's a shut-in. I don't believe that she like physically can attend anymore. But she would always say, we'd ask like, "Hey, how was your feast?" And you know, she would go to, I'm assuming, the closest possible, you know, feast site and stuff, because even this is when I was like a teenager and she was still getting around a little slower, but she was like, it just gets better and better every year. And as she's like not the most mobile and that kind of stuff. So it's like every year should be like, you know, getting better and better in that sense. But there's also, you know, as you're experiencing, there's seasons of life where you're like not able to hear all the sermons fully clearly because you've got little ones and stuff and you're up and down and everything else. Yes. And my siblings are in that right now where it's like they've all got like, they're doing great and, you know, all the things, but you're trying to keep your kids like entertained and, you know, having a great old time because our church services are around 2 hours. And so, you know, there, and again, for me, I'm like, yay, I'm like, let's go hard, let's go longer, let's go. Randomly, it just about met, so I sat next to Grandma, you know, and have you seen this phenomenon of shorthand?
Yes.
You know what that is?
It's a very generational,
Have you seen it in the wild? Does your dad do that? Or know how?
Yeah, I've seen it occasionally with my dad, and like there was a time in my life pre going to Foundation Institute where I had the opportunity to work at my dad's law firm as a legal secretary. And some of the attorneys still use shorthand on their notes, so it was going to be this whole thing that I was going to have to learn. And then I opted to go to Foundation Institute, so I did not follow that path, which would have legitimately have been a career path and probably served me well. But, you know, obviously made the different choice, and that was the right choice, but for that time of life. So yes, I've seen it, and it's like a whole new like you know,
it looks like alien language. It's very, especially when you're little. When I was a kid and I'd sit next to Grandma at church, which was rare, we'd normally sit like, you know, next to Mom and Dad, but every now and then I'd sit over there. I would like, you know, again, big eyes, like, what is that? And it would just look like alien or like hieroglyphics writing. But even that, like, I had completely forgotten about that, but I hadn't sat next to her. Yeah, it's completely in shorthand. And so I was just like, and I remember that from growing up. Like, I remember seeing that, and again, as a kid, being like, what is that? And they're like, oh, Amy, and she calls me Amy Sue. She's like, Amy Sue, it's shorthand, you know, blah, you know, of course. And I'm like, and I just hadn't, it was just one of those things that it's little, but because we don't spend that time together anymore, like at services, it's just a little thing. But I was like, man, that takes me back to like, like childhood and stuff of seeing her taking notes and writing it all down. And
my dad still takes notes in 5-subject college ruled notebooks, spiral notebooks, with the same like blue ballpoint pen, and he has the most wonderful like script. Like he hardly ever prints, so he writes in this marvelous cursive in the blue ink, and he is so funny because he starts at the very, very top. So I'm using my hands, listeners, but like literally he starts at the margins. He does not start at the lines. So his notes start at the top of the page and they continue down the whole. And anytime I go home now, it's like, there it is. He's been taking notes like that.
That's so interesting. It's comforting, right?
It 100% is comforting.
Yeah, because Mom has her like feast notebook. Like she'll only take, and I do that too, where it's like, oh, I'm on year 2 of this particular notebook, but it's like, no, I got this notebook at like a nicer store or something, and I'm like, no, I only want feast messages in this notebook, like in this one to take notes. See, the brothers now, both of my brothers, Sean's, older and younger, are like iPad guys.
I know. I was thinking you're kind of
they're like
that. They're so. I don't see many men who like handwrite anymore. A lot of them,
My dad, he has the full notebook as well, and he's got the G2 gel series, the 0.5, which is my favorite as well. And so he's just writing that out. But even, I don't know. And I have aspects of both Mom and Dad's handwriting, I think, too, which is like kind of interesting. Anyway, it's just that
you
just
should get
that
a
came to mind.
snapshot of your grandma's shorthand.
Oh, yeah.
That would be fun.
Maybe I can ask her, like, hey, can I, is that too intrusive?
No one else will be able to understand it.
That's true. It would be something they would have to, we could bring it to school and be like, kids, today we're code breaking, okay?
Yeah. The word of God.
That's right. Who could know it? Do you have any, like, deeply embedded positive like feast traditions or anything that you guys would do as kids? I don't know that maybe when you start talking something will come to mind, but I don't know that because again, we didn't really know each other when we were kids.
Yeah, I think so much of mine is like food oriented because it was like, you get to pick out the feast cereal, big one.
Yeah, absolutely.
So junk cereal, and then we always kicked off leaving for the feast, and we would eat at Cracker Barrel for breakfast on the road. And then because it was the feast, you could get something from inside the Cracker Barrel gift shop, which was just like, like heaven on earth. Absolutely. When you're a kid.
Yeah.
So I definitely associate Cracker Barrel and, Reese Puffs is usually my go-to. I just love Reese Puffs. But again, I love it so much that I only get it once a year because if I bought it any other time, literally I would eat the whole box in a night.
I know. No, I feel the same way. Like I am an adult that has some money sort of sometimes. Also, just side note, just had to replace 4 tires. It's fine. Had to nail my tire this week. It's been great. But sometimes I have money, but I bought cereal this week, and like, yes, I saw the Reese's Puffs in different ones, but I was like, I gotta get the off-brand, frosted mini wheats, like something that feels like it's sort of healthy. Wheats. I do too, but I'm like, it's not the feast. Like I can't.
I know. I get.
Yeah, because I will eat it too. I'll destroy some.
Of course.
So we had feast cereal as well. We had Mom and Dad, but Dad I feel like is very intentional with traditions. Like he loves a tradition. The Duncans love a tradition. Growing up on Friday nights, we would have we would grill out Friday night hamburgers. That was every Sabbath growing up, and it was like, down to the smell on Dad's shirt when I would like give him a hug. It would smell like charcoal, you know. He would always have a bourbon and Coke. That was like Friday night, like meant nice, upscale, whatever. But at the feast, Yeah, a lot of food stuff for sure. We all 4 kids could each pick our own cereal. And then I really liked black olives and like from the can. And so that was something that I specifically liked. And so Dad would get me a can of black olives. He would open it and drain it and put it in a Ziploc bag and put that in the fridge. And he was like, these are your olives, just Amy's. And at any point, like day or night, in the middle of the night, if you want an olive, it's yours. And I'm like, wow. So I remember, like, if I accidentally, like, woke up in the middle of the night, I would be like, olives. And I would, like, get up, go to the kitchen, would open it. It'd be, like, in the butter thing.
Sure.
You know, like that little section of the fridge.
Yep, cove.
And I would, you know, unzip it, eat just one, zip it back up, put it back, and then I'd go back to bed. But it was my
like
olives.
Luxury. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was the height of luxury. And it's just so sweet. It's little things like that you forget about. And then it's like, oh, that was so nice. We would sneak out, quote unquote, every year and go to Waffle House. So all 4 of us kids would like get up and we weren't going to tell Mom. So we were like, now I learned later that it was just to give Mom a break, you know.
Of course, yeah.
No,
she was like, what day are you taking them to Waffle House?
Please leave me alone. And so, but at the time it was like, no, we're sneaking out. Don't tell Mom. Be quiet. So we would have to like, and Amber and I had a rule of like, even when we were teenagers, we were like, no makeup, which is a big deal for us.
Of course, yeah.
We were like,
House,
you're not supposed to look cute. Like, you throw on a hoodie and you just get up and it's early. And Dad loves getting up early anyway. And Dad's a breakfast guy. So he's like, he's having the time of his life. He's always like happy and awake at first thing in the morning. And it's like, and so we'd have to sneak out. So we'd have to like listeners, I'm like pretending to sneak like a little bunny rabbit with my hand. Like, you'd have to walk out. And then Dad would always like every year, same joke. He would like look at us like we're in the hallway of the beach house or whatever at Panama City Beach or Jekyll Island, depending on when we were there. And he'd be like, act natural. And then he'd go, like, he would start whistling and we'd be like, shh, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, you know, we'd be like hardcore, like, no, stop. Like, be quiet. You're going to wake Mom. And then we would always pick her up a waffle and bring it back. But that was another great.
He's so sweet.
I know. It's such a great feast tradition. And then when we got older, Mom would start coming with it, like in our 20s. Mom would come with us. And me and Amber would be like looking at her like,
why are you here?
Truly, why are you here? And because we love Mom, obviously, but it's she'd be wearing like lipstick. And we were like, no, that's not what this is.
You didn't even get the memo.
Yeah, like you need to be in a big hoodie and like just rolled out of bed. But like, anyway, I love her so much. She doesn't get it, but that's okay. You know?
Sure. She wasn't, she doesn't go here. She didn't get it.
No, she doesn't get it.
I don't have anything that sweet, but there was one feast. I think it was Louisville or Lexington, and we stayed at this hotel, and it was like when my mom was starting to get sick, and so it was like all of a sudden, like some days you're like, oh no, we're just staying at this hotel all day. Okay, so my dad's just like trying to give us whatever. So there was an indoor pool. And it was one of those hotels where, like, the glass ceiling, like, bird cage sort of thing, and the pool is in the center of all these rooms that, like, overlook the pool.
Okay.
And in this glass pool center cage thing was, like, a cabana that served lunch. And so it was, like, I love cheeseburgers. I still love cheeseburgers. And so it was, like, somehow we ended up having lunch there, like, the first couple of days of the feast. And I was like, oh, can I get a cheeseburger? And I was like, yes. And then at some point, it was like, I realized that I had a cheeseburger from this cabana every day for the feast. And I was like, I have to finish this out. I have to.
You have to.
And so every day that feast, I had a cheeseburger for lunch. And it was like the height of living. And it like got to the point where you're like giggly. And like, I remember with my brother being like, should I get the, can I get a cheeseburger? Like, it just was like,
Oh, that's so sweet and wholesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, it just was like, and we're just going for it, and no one's telling me no. That was like, I think that was part of it, too. It was like, no one was telling me no.
Absolutely. That's amazing.
And
I love
it's like hotel
that.
staff, so it was like the same two guys, and you're like, back again.
And they're like,
can I get a cheeseburger?
Right.
Like,
yeah, absolutely. That's so funny.
That's just a memory.
This is not the same because it wasn't at the, well, actually it was at the feast, and it wasn't like a tradition thing. It just reminded me of like, let's be bad and get blah, blah, blah. Me and my friend, we'll call her, she's now California Sharon, but she was just growing up, well-to-do Sharon, beautiful blonde, happy all the time, lovely, one of my best friends from growing up. She's lovely. Her and her husband and their 2 kids, maybe about to be 3, maybe just, I don't know. Anyway, are in California now, but she and I are somehow at this lunch that's not going great with a group of guys, like teen boys, you know, that I think at the time when they invited us to go, we were like, cool. And then as the day went on, we were like, this is not
cool.
who I want to be around. Yeah, they just kept talking about volleyball and how good at volleyball they were, and we were like, yeah. Anyway, so we went to Olive Garden. So we're at Olive Garden, and it's not the same as luxury again. It is the height of luxury, exactly, but it's not the same as every day getting the cheeseburger. But she and I just decided across the table. Again, we're surrounded by like very cute, but very not interesting teen boys. Mm-hmm. And they were just blah, 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 blah. We both looked at each other like, ugh. Like, we just don't want to be listening to them. And we both just decided together, kind of silently, like, how many breadsticks do you think we can each put in? So, and they're really long ones, you know? Yeah. And so as far as, it just reminded me of that with the like just kid, like you're just giggling because we were like 15, 16 and we got, as we're going, we're just kind of stretching and holding up like 3 fingers, 4 fingers of like how many we've eaten plus our full meal. Cause we're eating a full meal too. But again, your body is just like, how much can I hold? And I think we got to 7 or 8. And again, the boys are not even clocking it at all. And we're also eating like a full meal, like with either a soup or salad as well, like, and a meal. But our eyes kept getting bigger and going like, once we got to like 5 and we're holding up a 5, like your hand, the other person's like, oh, really? Wow. And so we just kept going. And truly, like, who knows what, well, I don't know. A few of them I know what they're up to now, I guess. But those guys, again, not to be mean, but they were just not interesting. And so we just
and they were obviously not clocking what was going on.
No. And it really should have, because, I mean, at a certain point, like, I don't know if I would notice someone else doing that. But the breadsticks they're long. Like, they're really big.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm pretty positive I got to 8.
Wow.
And it was, it was kind of shocking.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, just that giggly, then, like.
I love that.
It was great.
And then I bet you probably were like, oh, I feel a little, you know, like you're 15, 16 and you're just like, all right, are we putt-putting or like, what are we, you know, like you weren't dead.
Truly, we were like, let's get on to the next thing. I think I also didn't care for them because I want to say it was like a meal in between services. Because like on a high day, listeners, like on like maybe it was last great day. I don't know. It was in between where you'd have a morning services, like church services, and then afternoon services. You have like 3 hours or something in between services to eat lunch. And I think like the guys were kind of like not like wanting to leave, like, or just kind of being slow to get out the door. And I'm like, we're going to be late for services. Like and they were just seemed to be like lackadaisical. And I was just like really annoyed. So then I was like feeling bad and like, I'm going to get in trouble if I'm not back in time.
How sleepy that kind of thing. Do you think you were after that carb fest?
I cannot imagine. I mean, I don't know. But again, your body is just like, I don't know. It's just different than my body now.
Sure.
I'll put it that way. Yeah, I don't know how sleepy I was. I'm sure I was dead after that. But maybe not. Maybe just like blah, 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 blah. Like, I'm 15, I'm 16, I'm tall and thin. Actually, she's tall and thin too. So we both were just like blah, 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 blah. Like, we probably bebopped away and had like zero repercussions.
Oh, that's funny.
That's so funny, man. Getting to 8 was and just holding up and just her eyes like as the guys literally haven't taken a breath because he's still telling us about some tournament he won. And we were like, yeah. Okay. They could have aged like a fine wine. I'm saying at the time, I did not find it to be interesting. But at the time, what I thought was really cool is still what I think is really cool, which is eating as many breadsticks as you can. So if you're not ready to hang with that, that's fine. But like, we're not going to get along.
Yeah. Like, I'm not eating 8, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Not eating 8.
It's a really great phrase.
Yeah, it's a great phrase. It's not quite a new podcast name, but
no.
Okay. Well, do you have any more things that you would like to share about the feast? Any more? I didn't want to completely cut us off from that, but I had a couple things that I felt like I needed to mention.
No.
In this app.
Oh, except that it was marvelous to get more than one time comments from people I haven't seen saying they listen and they love it and where are the episodes. Wild. And it was just like every time was like, oh, what? No,
it's so shocking.
Sweet. You know, like it's one of my favorite interactions and I'm never expecting it, which makes it just all the more sweeter.
Yeah. I love
that. Was really
that.
Nice. Yeah.
So nice. See, I feel like I honestly didn't know that many people at the feast this year in Ireland. Like, obviously there's a bunch of you from the States. We only have one member that actually like lives in Ireland. And then I learned this like late in the feast. And then did I meet him? No, which is wild because I talked to everyone, but our paths just didn't cross. But that's awesome. I love that. My sister-in-law Sharon of little brother Sean is an avid listener, so she's always like making references and stuff, which is always so sweet. Well, cool. Couple things I just wanted to throw out there that I'd written down. This upcoming Sunday, only moments before we recorded, this was determined, but I am going to a live taping of new game show.
What?
Like, wow. I get a text that seemed like kind of like a scam, but I think it's fine.
Delete and report to
right. But it was like, I get updates from like the podcasts, because I listen to them and I get updates from that. And I get updates or texts from Zany's, the like comedy club in Nashville as well, because I frequent there. And so you'll get free tickets to stuff all the time. I rarely take them up on it because it'll be like that night. And I'm like, it's a school night and it's a comedian that's not cleaned or something that I'm like, too scary. Unless it's like Nate or, anybody in his troupe. Anyway, I get a text today that's like free tickets to live audience of this game show it's hosting. And I'm like, that's probably not real, but I'm going to send it to, best friend Sharon Sydney. I'm going to send it to her just to see if she wants to go and to see if Zach, her husband, can look up if it's real. Anyway, it seems like it is real. So me and Sydney and the older best friend Sean are at 9:15 in the morning going to a live taping on Sunday of one of the game show episodes. Because the next one, the afternoon show is all full. Anyway, they probably already have people that are on the game show, but
how exciting.
Maybe we'll win some money. I know, so I was so excited about that. Other thing I wanted to, I can't wait. Wouldn't that be cool? I mean, again, assuming it's all real and that I didn't pay money to anything, so it has to be real. It's free and I have a QR code. So, yeah. Other thing that I just feel like but I feel like the listeners need to know that my entire identity has changed in the sense of Dancing with the Stars is my new personality. Sure. And I just felt like the listeners should know because there might be moments where I randomly start to talk about Derek Huff and just how beautiful I think he is and how good a dancer I think he is.
You
know, no, I know. Listeners, if you're like, duh, I know, like, I have never seen the show, but Danielle Fishel, I want to say friend of the pod, even though she's not technically been on our podcast. I listened to her podcast, Pod Meets World, yet. And so that's a rewatch podcast for Boy Meets World. Hopefully you've listened. It's great. But she's on the show. So I was like, oh, I'll watch this. The first episode, I laughed, I cried. I mean, I was all in. And so now it's just really become a pretty big part of my life. So
when does that air?
At different points on Tuesdays. So yeah, tomorrow evening. But tomorrow's the Halloween episode. Ick. So I'm kind of like, I want to know who goes home and who does well, but I don't like that. Too scary. Yeah. Okay. Well, those are my big updates. I just needed for you to know that my entire personality has changed.
Yeah, maybe that's the podcast you start with AI, though.
That's true. I just don't like the idea of it being like, hello. that dance deserved an 8. I'm like, yeah, it did. Anyway, but yeah, I'm deep. I think the algorithm is very like, knows that I'm really into Dancing with the Stars because everything is just popping up like that. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of strange that it's, yeah. But anyway, Amanda, do you have anything to plug?
Dancing with the Stars.
Great. There's a little show. Actually, Great British Bake Off only has a couple episodes left in the season. I'm really obviously into that. I know 2 of our listeners, shout out to TNC.
Yes, TNC. Also,
TNC. Yeah. Shout out to them. I know they're very interested in the Bake Off show as well. Sure. So it's been really nice. They have been dedicated listeners, a husband and wife duo, and every time I see them, they mention that, which is so sweet.
Lovely. Yeah, so lovely.
But we also both love Great British Bake Off, so they are one of the only people in my life that care about that. So I can just randomly text them if I'm going through a season of like, oh, what about this? And they're like, oh man, just wait, blah blah blah. You know, so I love stuff like that.
This isn't a plug, but it's more just a husband Sean and I are going through the Fast and Furious series, and you think, boy, you've been married for 8 years, you've been in his life almost a decade now. He's a car person, haven't you seen?
Sure, no. As you just learned last week.
Sure,
listeners just learned last week. Yeah,
yes. We saw one of them. I think it was number 8 in theaters with his friends, and it meant nothing to me, and that was it. So, anyways, we pop on the old Netflix, and it was like, oh, they're all on here. Oh no, they're leaving. So it was like,
yeah, TikTok.
So we've been, we're up to 7. Need to watch 7, but I wouldn't plug them necessarily. I have a lot of thoughts. But it was one of those great, especially the first couple ones that were like the early 2000s, and they're like so kind of bad, and they're just great to riff on. Yeah. And it just felt good to be snarky. And again, the one, I'll just say this about Tokyo Drift.
Tell me.
It's the third movie.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's one with Ludacris, right? Or was he in all of them?
No, he's not in this one. Tokyo Drift, it turns out, is like this.
Oh, that's the weird one.
Yes, it's like some subculture thing. And the story is, the kid is 17. Okay, no. It's a man who looks like he's 37. And I'm supposed to believe he's 17. Mm-hmm. And that that's also, the crew he's hanging with are also all high schoolers who are with the Yakuza, the Japanese mafia. Okay. And that the men of the Japanese mafia are fighting over... Again, the men in this movie are fighting over one girl. A girl. Okay. She's still in high school. We're meant to believe. Of course she looks like a woman. And you're like, I'm sorry. The Yakuza who can have everything they want in Japan is fighting over this one teenage girl who's in high school with another high school boy. It's like... No, they all look like adults. And then, spoiler alert, I mean, this movie came out in the 2000s, but one of the characters dies, but then he's in all the other movies. He's in movies 4, 5, and 6.
What?
Exactly.
Oh, I've heard tales of this. Yeah, it's like an anomaly because they're like, well,
it's an absurd
not
because
an anomaly,
I think
but
they
yeah.
made a mistake. I think they just made a mistake. They made Tokyo Drift, and then they're like, oh no, this Han character, he's actually pretty good. So then they want him in the rest of the movies. And again, he's aging as an actor. So by the end of movie 6, you're like, I'm sorry, we're supposed to now believe he goes to Tokyo, even though he's 10 years older in real life, and we're meant to believe, again, that he's hanging out with teenagers in high school after he just did all this stuff with The Rock and Vin Diesel and grown adults who have children. He's going and hanging out with high school kids? No, sorry. I can't let it go.
It's like Doc Brown and Marty McFly being friends. It's strange. It doesn't really make sense. They never explain the relationship.
Anti-plug Tokyo Drift.
Man, you...
Sure.
This is your new personality, which I do love. Yeah. And you told me about it, but it was only via text. So we weren't on the phone about it, but you were like, I'm deeply within, I'm deep within the Fast and Furious franchise. I love that.
I've seen most of and anger.
Okay.
But I also secretly like it, and it's kind of fun to make fun of. But yeah.
So the podcast "How Did This Get Made" with Jason Mantzoukas, our boy, we love him, and Paul Scheer and June Diane Raphael. They rewatch just like terrible movies, and so whenever and Adam Scott actually, which we also love from Parks.
I should be listening to this. I like all those people.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. But they actually, for just these episodes, I don't know that you would love like all of the content of it, but for all of the Fast and Furious ones, whenever a new one would come out, they then would do the podcast, and they would normally always, I think they almost always have Adam Scott for like as a guest for those episodes too. So I think you would really enjoy it. But I only know kind of what happens in the movies through the lens of this podcast because I haven't even seen.
Well,
I've seen like the first one. The first one
died, and then turns out
that's how I know about that was because of How Did This Get Made. Yeah,
and they love the tale of a police officer who loves the life of crime, and so he joins the family. You know, like it's like over and over again. It's like pick a new, you know, pick something else. I don't know.
But it's all about
cars.
Family. I've seen cars. Yeah, it is a bummer that has a lot of cars in it. But I just obviously re-listened and edited our episode with about cars, and I still my jaw dropped when your husband said that Nas is real because I was like, "Are you?" And I still was like, "Are you kidding?" And he's like, "No, like it's a thing you can get," and I still don't really, I'm still like, am I in a joke? Like, are you serious? And I think he was being serious, but I'm still really confused by that. And I famously saw one of the newer Fast and Furious is on a plane, but I wasn't watching it. It was another person's screen in front of me. So I've seen it silently, and I would highly recommend watching it in silence. Brilliant, because it's just... Because whatever I was watching, it didn't matter. Because I was like, now what's going on now? They're going underneath that semi, but they made it through. And then now they're jumping off this building. And so everything is just like, with no context and no sound. I just kept like, I just watched it. So I would recommend watching that franchise, or at least in part, have someone in front of you on a plane watch it. Or catty-cornered to you, so then you can see it silently. I would recommend.
I think that's a good plug.
Would recommend.
Yeah.
I think that's a good plug, too. I feel good about it. Listeners, we love you. Be thinking about names for us and check to see if they're available. You're going to have... I hate to say it, but you're going to have to do some work. Yeah, you're going to have to do some work for us because we were wrongfully terminated. Wrongfully forced out of our name, so we had to find a new one, and we don't really want to, but we just decided that we would. So we would like to find something that you think encapsulates us as people. Short, succinct, but not too on the nose. Good luck with that. That's because that's how we feel. But I think I feel good about what we've done here today. So we're trying to be kind.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
All right, well. I'm glad we're back. We're back, baby.
Well, we're back, baby. We got race to 20. 20 is going to be the end of our season, and then after that, we'll be back. We just we'll probably have a different name. It's going to be so cool.
So cool. We're going to blow your minds.
Yeah, probably
we
different
clearly
hair.
Have a plan.
We don't even know.
Yeah.
We have.
No, you don't know.
We got a plan. We got some things up our sleeves.
Sure. Yeah,
I got no sleeves today.
Yeah. There you go.
Well, I love you.
I love you. Bye.
Bye. The I'm Not Mad About It podcast was written and produced entirely by Amy and Amanda. Our sponsorship is completely vacant at the moment, but if you know anyone that loves a good hang, a good time, and a podcast about friendship, let us know. Thank you, dear sweet listeners. See you next time.